Hi, guys! Welcome back to Speak English Slowly. It's me, Zoe.
And yours truly, Max. It's such a beautiful day here, and I'm genuinely excited about what we're sharing with you today.
We are absolutely thrilled to introduce you to something special we've been working on for weeks. This is something that could genuinely transform your English learning journey.
It's shadowing for beginners. And trust me, this isn't just another language learning technique. It's a game changer.
If you're looking for a chill and fun way to improve your English, especially your speaking and listening skills, you're definitely in the right place. We've designed this specifically with beginners in mind.
So, how are we going to do that? The answer is shadowing. And I know what you're thinking. What exactly is shadowing?
It sounds a bit odd at first, but really, it just means repeating what a native speaker says, almost like you're their echo. You listen and then immediately repeat what you hear.
Yup, it's like karaoke for English, minus the singing and the embarrassing dance moves. It's one of the most effective ways to train your mouth and brain to work together.
Shadowing works absolute wonders because it helps you sound more natural and trains your brain and mouth to coordinate perfectly. It's like muscle memory for speaking.
The beautiful thing about shadowing is that it helps with pronunciation, rhythm, intonation, and even confidence. It's like having a conversation with yourself, but productively.
Before we dive into today's story, let me share something personal. I actually used shadowing when I was learning Spanish, and the improvement in my speaking was incredible. Within just a few weeks, people started commenting on how natural I sounded.
That's amazing. And it's not just about copying sounds, you're actually absorbing the natural flow and melody of the language. It's like learning a song, but the song is how English really sounds.
So, how does our shadowing session work today? In this episode, you'll hear a compelling short story that we've carefully chosen for its beautiful language and engaging plot.
Not boring textbook stories that make you want to fall asleep, but a really amazing, heartwarming story that makes language feel alive and meaningful.
After that, we'll break down some cool vocabulary and expressions from the story, explaining not just what they mean, but how and when to use them in real conversations.
And then, here's the fun part. We'll give you multiple chances to practice shadowing with real lines from the story. You'll repeat after us, and we'll guide you through the pronunciation and rhythm.
Today's story is called The Forgotten Recipe. It's about family, memory, and the connections that bind us across generations.
And trust me, this story won't just warm your heart and maybe make you a little emotional. It'll also spark your appetite and make you want to call your grandparents.
Are you ready for this emotional and linguistic journey?
Let's get started. Off to the races.
This story begins with Jake, a 25-year-old living in a bustling, noisy city. It is far from the quiet, peaceful town where he grew up.
His days are completely full of endless meetings, heavy traffic, and the steady, predictable rhythm of a typical 9-to-5 office job. But in all the constant noise and activity, something feels missing.
It's a kind of deep loneliness that lingers persistently, even when you're surrounded by thousands of people. You know that feeling, being alone in a crowd?
A few weeks ago, Jake's beloved grandfather passed away unexpectedly. They were incredibly close, more like best friends than grandfather and grandson.
Summers meant escaping to Grandpa's cozy house, long, lazy days filled with adventure, barefoot mornings running through dewy grass, and the constant, comforting smell of something delicious always cooking in the kitchen.
He remembers racing through the spacious backyard, pretending to help in the warm kitchen, and sneaking spoonfuls of rich, flavorful sauce when no one was looking. Those were the golden days of childhood.
Now he's back in that same familiar house, but everything feels completely different. Empty. Still, quieter than he's ever experienced it.
The light streaming through the old lace curtains feels softer and more gentle, like even the sun itself is remembering and mourning along with him.
He's there to pack things up carefully, sort through countless drawers filled with memories, and make the difficult decisions about what to keep forever and what to reluctantly let go.
In one of those old wooden drawers buried beneath layers of old papers and forgotten trinkets, he discovers a worn notebook.
It's leather-bound and clearly ancient, with edges curled and yellowed with age, telling stories of years gone by.
Inside are scribbled notes in his grandfather's familiar handwriting, old shopping lists with items crossed off, and right in the middle, like a hidden treasure, is a carefully folded, handwritten recipe.
The title is written in elegant Italian script. The ink has faded significantly over the decades, but the handwriting is still beautifully elegant and precise.
No picture accompanies it, just a list of simple ingredients and a few straightforward steps written with obvious care and love.
Jake doesn't recognize the name of the mysterious dish at all, but something about it feels strangely familiar, like a comforting smell from a distant dream that you can't quite place, but that fills you with warmth.
He sits cross-legged on the cool kitchen floor, the precious notebook cradled gently in his hands, warm afternoon sunlight resting peacefully on his shoulder.
And his chest feels unexpectedly warm and just a little tight with emotion he can't quite name.
That night, peaceful sleep doesn't come easily to Jake. He tosses and turns restlessly in his grandfather's old bed, the mysterious recipe whispering persistently through his confused thoughts.
And sometime after 2 a.m., when the world is completely quiet and still, sleep finally finds him and brings him dreams.
He dreams vividly of being a carefree boy again, sitting contentedly at his grandfather's familiar kitchen table, a steaming bowl of creamy, delicious pasta placed lovingly in front of him. He wakes with that incredible taste still lingering in his mouth and a deep, aching hunger, not just for food, but for understanding, for connection, for answers.
So he carefully takes the yellowed paper and heads to Little Italy, a charming small restaurant district in the heart of the town.
It's a magical place where the air constantly smells like rich tomato sauce and fresh baked bread, and the sidewalks are always a little sticky from melted gelato that's dripped from countless happy customers.
He finds the restaurant nestled perfectly between a traditional bakery with its windows full of pastries and an old-fashioned barber shop with its classic red and white pole.
The hand-painted sign is fading with weather and time. The heavy door creaks with age, and a little brass bell rings cheerfully as he steps inside.
Behind the polished counter stands an older man with distinguished silver hair and remarkably kind, twinkling eyes that seem to hold decades of stories.
His name is Giuseppe, and he has the warm, welcoming demeanor of someone who has spent his entire life making people feel at home.
Jake walks up nervously, his heart beating faster than usual, and shows him the precious recipe with slightly trembling hands.
"Excuse me, sir," he says politely, his voice betraying his nervousness. "I found this among my grandfather's things. Can you tell me what it is?"
Giuseppe takes the delicate paper extremely gently, as if it's something sacred and precious that might crumble at any moment.
He reads it carefully, his eyes moving slowly across each faded word, and then, suddenly, he pauses, his expression changing completely.
"Where did you get this?" he asks with obvious emotion, his eyes wide with something that looks like a mixture of surprise, recognition, and deep memory.
Jake explains the story carefully, how it belonged to his recently deceased grandfather, how he found it while going through his things.
Giuseppe goes completely quiet for a long moment, lost in thought and memory. Then he smiles warmly, his whole face lighting up. "So, you're Leonardo's grandson?"
Jake is genuinely confused and surprised. "How could you possibly know my grandfather's name?"
"This," Giuseppe says with obvious reverence, holding the recipe like it's made of gold, "is Nonna's special pasta. I was the one who personally gave it to your grandpa many, many years ago."
Jake leans in closer, fascinated and hungry for more information about this unexpected connection.
And Giuseppe, settling into his role as storyteller, tells him the remarkable tale. He was once a frightened 14-year-old boy whose entire family was tragically killed during the devastating war.
Alone, terrified, and literally starving on the dangerous streets, with nowhere to go and no one to turn to.
That was when fate brought him to Jake's grandfather, a genuinely kind farmer with a generous heart who took him in without hesitation.
It was an incredibly dark and dangerous time in history, but Jake's grandfather had brought hope, light, and safety into Giuseppe's desperate world.
In return for this life-saving kindness, Giuseppe shared something precious. This recipe, his beloved grandmother's most treasured creation.
A recipe so cherished and meaningful that he had never given it to anyone else except Jake's grandpa. It was his way of saying thank you for saving his life.
"Your grandfather made it with so much heart and soul," Giuseppe says, his eyes becoming misty with memory. He understood it completely. He honored it. He treated it just like family.
Jake is absolutely stunned by this revelation. The dish he'd grown up eating and loving wasn't just a simple childhood meal.
It was a living legacy, a heartfelt thank you, a precious secret kept in trust between two men who had become like brothers.
Giuseppe gestures warmly toward the bustling kitchen behind him. "Come," he says with genuine enthusiasm. "Let me show you how it's really made."
The kitchen is wonderfully warm and full of incredible smells. Garlic sizzling in golden olive oil, fresh basil releasing its perfume, and aged cheese melting slowly into the rich sauce.
Jake watches intently, listens carefully to every instruction, stirs when told, tastes when invited.
He learns not just the technical steps of how to cook, but something much more important: how to carry a memory, how to honor a tradition, how to keep love alive through food.
When the pasta is finally done, perfectly al dente and coated in the aromatic sauce, Giuseppe hands him a bowl with ceremonial care. Jake takes his first bite slowly,
And in that magical moment, it's like time folds in on itself. Past and present merge into one beautiful experience.
Suddenly, he's 10 years old again, sitting at Grandpa's worn kitchen table. The same incredible flavor fills his mouth. The same feeling of love and belonging fills his heart.
But now, with the complete story behind it, the taste is even more meaningful and precious.
He doesn't speak for a long while, too moved by emotion to find words. He just smiles, tears gathering in his eyes. Then, softly and gratefully, he whispers, "Thank you."
Giuseppe pats his shoulder gently, like a father would. "Now you know the whole story," he says with satisfaction. "You can pass it on to the next generation."
Jake leaves the little restaurant with the recipe safely tucked in his pocket and something even more valuable in his heart.
A connection to his heritage, a piece of his grandfather that will never die, a memory that will never fade, no matter how much time passes.
Because sometimes the most precious gifts aren't wrapped in expensive ribbons or made of gold and silver.
Sometimes they come in the simple shape of a story, passed down with pure love, in a humble bowl of pasta that connects generations.
Did you come across any new vocabulary in that beautiful story?
No worries at all if you didn't catch everything. That's completely normal when you're learning.
Because we're about to break down some of the key words and expressions you heard, giving you the tools you need to use them in your own conversations.
First up, we have grew up. This is a phrasal verb that you'll use constantly in English conversations.
Grew up is the past form of the phrasal verb grow up. It means to change from being a child to being an adult, but it's more than just aging.
Let's think about when you were a little kid, playing with toys, being carefree, having no responsibilities.
And now you're learning new things, maybe helping out at home, going to school, taking on more responsibilities. That entire process is growing up.
For example, I want to be a doctor when I grow up.
Or I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone.
Or, as in our story, it is far from the quiet town where he grew up.
Repeat after me. It is far from the quiet town where he grew up.
Amazing job. Let's keep building your vocabulary.
Next, we have passed away. This is a phrasal verb that's very important to know because it's used frequently in English.
Passed away is a polite, gentle, and respectful way of saying that someone died. It's much softer than saying died.
Instead of saying he died, which can sound harsh, people often say he passed away to show care, respect, and sensitivity.
For example, her grandfather passed away peacefully last year.
Or, I was very sad when I heard that he passed away.
Or, as in our story, a few weeks ago, Jake's grandfather passed away.
Repeat after me. A few weeks ago, Jake's grandfather passed away.
You're doing wonderfully. Your pronunciation is improving with each repetition.
Now let's talk about pack something up. This is another useful phrasal verb for everyday situations.
Pack something up means to put things into boxes, bags, or containers, usually because you're moving, traveling, or you're finished using them.
Imagine cleaning up after a picnic. You're putting food back in containers, folding the blanket, collecting the trash. You're packing everything up.
For example, let's pack up the picnic supplies before it starts raining.
Or they packed up all the books and moved to another city.
Or, as in our story, he's there to pack things up, sort through drawers.
Repeat after me. He's there to pack things up, sort through drawers.
Excellent work. Let's move forward to another important expression.
Next is sort through something. This is a phrasal verb that's very practical and useful.
Sort through something means to look carefully at a group of things and decide what to keep, what to throw away, or how to organize them.
Imagine opening an old drawer that's full of papers, photos, and random items. You start checking each one, deciding what's important. That's sorting through.
For example, I sorted through my closet and gave away old clothes to charity.
Or he spent the weekend sorting through the boxes in the garage.
Or, as in our story, sort through drawers and decide what to keep and what to let go.
Repeat after me. Sort through drawers and decide what to keep and what to let go.
Nice job! You're really getting the hang of this. Let's keep the momentum going.
Next is toss and turn. This is an idiom that perfectly describes a common experience we all have.
Toss and turn means to move around restlessly in bed because you can't sleep, usually because you're worried or anxious about something.
Think of someone flipping their pillow, changing sides, adjusting their blanket, trying different positions. They're tossing and turning.
For example, I tossed and turned all night when I was nervous about my job interview.
Or she tosses and turns when the room is too hot, or when she has too much on her mind.
Or, as in our story, he tosses and turns, the recipe whispering through his thoughts.
Repeat after me. He tosses and turns, the recipe whispering through his thoughts.
Great work. You're building a really strong foundation. Keep it up.
Next is walk up. This is a simple but essential phrasal verb for describing movement.
Walk up means to walk towards someone or something, approaching them directly.
Picture someone walking up to a store counter, or walking up to a friend to say hello, or walking up to a teacher to ask a question.
For example, she walks up to the counter and orders a sandwich.
Or he walks up to the teacher and asks for help with the homework.
Or, as in our story, Jake walks up, nervous, and shows him the recipe.
Repeat after me. Jake walks up nervous and shows him the recipe.
Fantastic effort. You're really mastering these expressions. Let's move on.
Now, let's look at belonged to someone. This is about ownership and possession in the past.
Belonged to is the past form of the verb belong to. If something belonged to someone, that means it was theirs. It was their property.
For example, that beautiful scarf belonged to my grandmother when she was young.
Or, these vintage toys belonged to my older brother when he was little.
Or, as in our story, it belonged to his grandfather.
Repeat after me. It belonged to his grandfather.
You're doing amazing. Your confidence is really showing. Let's continue building your vocabulary.
Next is lean in. This is a phrasal verb that describes both physical movement and showing interest.
Lean in means to move your body closer to someone or something, usually to hear better or to show that you're interested and engaged.
Imagine someone whispering something important, and you move your head closer to catch every word. You're leaning in.
For example, she leans in to hear what he is saying over the loud music.
Or he leans in, curious about the story and wanting to hear every detail.
Or, as in our story, Jake leans in, asking for more information.
Repeat after me. Jake leans in, asking for more information.
Well done. You're learning so much and your pronunciation is getting clearer.
Next is took someone in. This phrase is about helping others in need.
Took in is the past form of the phrasal verb take in. It means to let someone live in your home, especially when they need help or have nowhere else to go.
Imagine a child with no place to go, and a kind family says, "You can stay with us. You're safe here." They took someone in.
For example, after the terrible storm destroyed their house, the neighbors took them in.
Or, the family took in the lost puppy and gave it a loving home.
Or, as in our story, that was when he met Jake's grandfather, a kind farmer who took him in.
Repeat after me. That was when he met Jake's grandfather, a kind farmer who took him in.
You've got this. You're doing incredibly well. Keep up the excellent work.
Last one for today's vocabulary session, pass something on.
Pass something on is a phrasal verb that's about sharing important things with others, especially traditions or knowledge.
It means to give something to someone else, especially when it has special meaning or is important for future generations.
Think about an old family watch your grandfather gave you. When you give it to your own child someday, you're passing something on.
For example, she passes the family recipe on to her daughter to keep the tradition alive.
Or he passes the old guitar on to his nephew who loves music.
Or, as in our story, now you know the whole story. He says, "You can pass it on."
Repeat after me. Now you know the whole story, he says. You can pass it on.
Fantastic work. You've done an absolutely amazing job with all of these expressions.
Now, let's do some extended shadowing practice with longer phrases from the story. This will help you with rhythm and natural flow.
I'll say a phrase and you repeat it, focusing on copying the rhythm and intonation as closely as possible.
His days are full of meetings, traffic, and the steady rhythm of a 9 to 5.
But in all the noise, something feels missing.
Summers meant escaping to Grandpa's house, long days, barefoot mornings.
The light through the curtains feels softer, like even the sun is remembering.
Jake doesn't recognize the name of the dish, but something about it feels familiar.
And in that moment, it's like time folds in.
And that's it for today's shadowing session, friends. Thanks for hanging out with us and being such dedicated learners.
Yeah, that story, the forgotten recipe, had so much heart and emotion and made me genuinely hungry. Not gonna lie, I'm definitely craving some pasta now.
Same here. And I love how just one beautifully crafted short story can teach so many useful expressions and give you such rich language practice.
It's like learning without feeling like you're studying from a boring textbook. The story draws you in, and the learning happens naturally.
I know, right? And we hope the detailed vocabulary section helped you grab a few new words and expressions that you can start using in your own conversations.
Keep saying them out loud, practicing them in different contexts. They'll stick in your memory faster than you think, and soon you'll be using them naturally.
If the shadowing felt a little awkward or challenging at first, that's completely normal. Don't get discouraged.
Keep going with regular practice. Be patient with yourself, and it will definitely get easier and more natural over time.
The key is consistency. Even just 5 minutes of shadowing practice each day can make a huge difference in your speaking skills.
Make sure to follow our podcast so you don't miss the next story and shadowing session. We have so many more engaging stories coming your way.
We've got more heartwarming stories, more vocabulary lessons, and more shadowing practice planned for you.
And maybe share this episode with a friend who's also learning English. It's always more fun and motivating when you do it together.
You can practice shadowing with each other, quiz each other on vocabulary, and support each other's learning journey.
Remember, every time you practice shadowing, you're training your brain and mouth to work together more effectively in English.
And every new word you learn is a tool that makes you a more confident and effective communicator.
Keep up the fantastic work, stay curious, and most importantly, enjoy the process of learning.
Thanks for being such an amazing audience. See you next time for another story and more shadowing practice.
Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep believing in yourself. You're doing great.